Well, that has to go down as one of the most dominant displays this season. Newcastle well and truly played Manchester United out of the park. From start to finish, they were unbelievable. Big up to Newcastle because they're making a charge of Champions League football this season. If they keep playing like that, they will definitely make it. That was unbelievable again. Newcastle United have shown multiple facets to their game. When I came into the season, I thought, you know what, the Saudi takeover, they've got a good chance of making European football this season. They didn't necessarily make the flashy signings, the types of players that we're thinking they're going to make with all the money behind them, but they signed efficient, good players, man, quality footballers. Kind of reminds me when Arsenal and Arteta signed those decent players, like Ben White, not world-class by any stretch of imagination, but they look good and they look like players that can be nurtured and built upon. And that's exactly what Newcastle did. And well and truly, they deserve their position. They're now up to third, leapfrogging Manchester United, who a few weeks ago was in everyone's title race. It's crazy how it goes. United in the mud, True Gunner says exactly. Manchester United in the mud again. Completely outplayed today. They can lose 2-0, and the score doesn't do it justice. You can say, 2-0. It probably should have been about 4-5 the way I watched that game play. Newcastle completely dominated Manchester United all over the park. Newcastle United is good, man. Wow. Exactly. And the thing with Newcastle as well, which gives them an edge, is they play both facets of their game. Today, they dominate Manchester United. Possession, chances, intensity. But equally, I've seen a Newcastle United play where they can sit back, absorb pressure, and play on the counter-attack. They've mastered both facets. They can be the offensive team and a defensive team and still get results. So they're really a multifaceted side. And big up Eddie Howe for that, because that's not easy to do. A lot of teams play one system, whether it is counter-attacking, whether it is just attacking possession football. Newcastle can play both. They can suit themselves and adapt themselves to whichever team they're playing. And that's a really good sign, because you really need that if you're going to go far in football and in the Premier League as well. And they're proving just that. Making Champions League is massive for them. Imagine if Newcastle United make Champions League. As an Arsenal fan, I hope they don't. Because, any Premier League side other than Manchester United, other than Newcastle United, should not hope Newcastle make Champions League. Because if they do, they have the license to spend. Because they're already making all this progress. They haven't even spent money. Like, I know they've spent some money, but they haven't even bought the flashy signings. Think about the potential that club has to splash money. And if they make Champions League, they've got every single excuse to just splash the cash, because the revenue is going to come in with the Champions League. And again, brilliant football today. Ten Hag looks dizzy. Hey, Ten Hag, to be fair to him, man, I think he's done a brilliant job at Manchester United. I can't even hate. I think he's been up there, one of the better managers this season, to be completely honest. It must have been a turbulent time for a lot of managers in this Premier League. I think 12 managers have been sacked in the Premier League this season so far. So it's not been easy by any stretch of the imagination. Ten Hag's done well. But today, his team, they were second best. All over the pitch, they were second best. Newcastle won every duel. They were the first to every ball. They wanted it more. They were more clinical up front. They had more chances. They were defending better. Every single facet of the match, Newcastle were better than Manchester United. There was not one part in that game where I looked in and I said, United are dominating here. They lost the midfield battle. They lost the attacking battle. If it wasn't for De Gea making some super saves, it could have been 4 or 5-0, to be completely honest. Manchester United's best player was David De Gea, and they lost. It says a lot, really, to be completely honest. Ten Hag, a bit outclassed today, out-tacticians. You can name it what you want. Newcastle were just better in every department. You could see in his eyes, he looked dizzy. He looked a bit shocked. Didn't really know what to do, Ten Hag. It got to the stage in the game where he weren't making any changes. For me, I think he should have changed it much earlier than he did, because Newcastle were on top for a lot of that match way before he even decided to make some changes. Should have changed it way earlier, because they were just getting beaten in every department. Alan St. Maximan was taking Dallo on a ride like it was a fun fair, man. He took him on a ride, left, right, jinking inside, outside. He didn't know what to do. Ten Hag, I see your comments saying his eyes, he looked dizzy. He looked a bit like struck, like he didn't know what to do. He was sitting there bemused, like, how do I change this? Because I can make substitutions, but we're not getting back in this game. It's all Newcastle, and they couldn't find a way to get back in the football match. Newcastle will be tough for us, in my opinion. Yes, when Arsenal goes to St. James Park, it will be a very tough game. My hope is, though, that Newcastle play like this, because I'd rather Newcastle play like this than they played at the Emirates, where they just sat back and stunk it up. Because if they play like this, I think football for football, we can beat Newcastle. They were brilliant today, don't get me wrong. But I think if it's a football game where it's possession v possession, both teams going for it, Arsenal can beat Newcastle, because we're a better footballing team than Newcastle. But if Newcastle sit back, defend deep, try and stink it up again, then I think Arsenal may struggle, to be completely honest. But in this game, if they play the football they're playing right now, they've got a chance against any team, because they're a really good side. I broke one a couple of days ago, but Chris Price was amazing. I was very happy. Sad to hear that, man. Hope you get well soon. But last minute winning yesterday, that's big for Crystal Palace. Very, very big indeed. Jordan says big, very big, man. Unbelievable, that win for Newcastle. Not just the fact they got the 3 points, because in the Premier League, we see unexpected results all the time, and Newcastle are at home, but the manner in which they won that game, because they completely outclassed Manchester United from start to finish. They didn't just beat them playing defensive and hit them on the counter-attack. They fully beat Manchester United, demolished them. The scoreline doesn't do it justice. It should have been 3-4, 5-0. Completely demolished Manchester United in every facet. And I'm going to touch on both sides as well, to be honest, because it's not just Newcastle playing well, because they did by every stretch of imagination, but also Manchester United had to look at themselves, because this was as much they're doing as it was Newcastle playing really well. Hi, Luca. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning into the chat and into the live stream. How are you? Doing good, man. Doing much better now Manchester United lost, to be completely honest. Have I got Instagram? I have. I've got Instagram. I've got YFootball Instagram, and also just my normal personal Instagram that I've left in the chat. For feel free for anyone to follow. Snapchat-wise, I don't really use Snapchat, to be completely honest. And Newcastle has very talented players. They do indeed. This Newcastle side is really good. They're very efficient, I'd say, to be completely honest with Newcastle. I don't see a lot of that team and think, wow, they're world beaters when they sign them. But they're molding into that. Eddie Howe's done a brilliant job. It's very similar. I hate comparing it. I hate comparing, especially to my club, Arsenal. But Newcastle and Arsenal, I see a lot of similarities, because you sign players like Bruno Guimaraes, like Botman, like Isak. You don't sign, when you sign them, they're not the best player in the world. They're not like the world-class players, but they look world-class because they've been trained brilliantly. They're in a brilliant system and they look great. Like, you look at Isak, brilliant today up front, man. Brilliant upgrade on Callum Wilson. I know Callum Wilson scored today, but Isak, that all-round striker, is so good. Bruno Guimaraes, when I talk about this guy, my favourite midfielder in the Premier League, this man is so good. He walks into any team, Bruno Guimaraes. Any team in the Premier League he walks into. Man City, he walks in. Arsenal, he walks in over Xhaka, I'm convinced. Bruno Guimaraes is such a good footballer, man. He's got every facet of his game on lock. He's got the defensive style. He's got the attacking style. He can put a challenge in. He's so, so good, man. For me right now, is Newcastle can get top 3. They can. They really can. Manchester United obviously got displaced by Newcastle in this performance. I think Arsenal and Man City are locked for top 2. Whatever order it's in, those two teams are going to be top 2. Third place, I think Newcastle and Man United got a dogfight. I think Liverpool in there a little bit. Tottenham, obviously, we're going to see what they are up to. Brighton could have a shout. The fight for Champions League is so, so open. And with Manchester United, they were playing really well. And they have been playing well this season. This result doesn't change that for me. But with all the games, it's starting to catch up on them. Because they've been in all competition, they're starting to get injuries, starting to fall off the pace a little bit. Casemiro suspended. They dropped points, obviously, to Southampton, I believe. They dropped points to Leeds at home as well. Slowly but surely, United are dragging back down this table and actually going into a bit of a dogfight for the Champions League spaces, which I don't want to be in, to be completely honest, because United were home and hosed, it seemed. But it doesn't look that way now. It looks like they've already been displaced by Newcastle. A couple more bad results, and it could go a little bit pear-shaped for Manchester United. Overall, I still do think they will make Champions League, purely because the teams around them, I think, are really inconsistent. Liverpool, Tottenham, etc. I don't back them to get multiple consecutive victories in a row. But the big thing for Manchester United is they got to keep picking up points, man. This is a bad result, but it's away at Newcastle. It's a tough game for any team. I'm not looking forward to Arsenal going there. They just got to make sure they keep getting the results they can get and capitalize on that. Big up RD12 for joining as well. Chelsea, Manchester United are the only clubs that haven't scored this weekend. Lovely. It was a very high-scoring weekend indeed. Manchester United today never looked like scoring. Not one time did I think Man United were going to look like scoring. If anything, I was thinking, when's Newcastle's goal come in? When it went 1-0, I was thinking, when's 2-0 come in? And when it went 2-0, I was like, when's 3-0 come in? That's how the game went. Not once did I think, oh, Manchester United can get back in this game. They were just shocked. They didn't look like they were going to get anything from the game whatsoever, to be completely honest. Jordan, following this guy, appreciate it, my friends. Bruno Guimaraes, unbelievable player, man. Unbelievable. Bruno Guimaraes from Brazil. I've got his shirt in my cupboard as well. He's so, so good. Unbelievable footballer. Alan St. Maximin as well. I'm a big fan of this guy. He's a bit like Marmite. Some people love him. Some people hate him. For me, I'm a big fan of St. Maximin. I think he's a really tricky player. He just needs to work on his end product. To be fair, it's been that way for a few seasons now. His end product does need a lot of work, but he's such a good footballer, man. Like Alan St. Maximin, I see skill in him. He'll take on anyone. Dalot today got run riot, bro. Dalot today is going to have nightmares. When he goes to sleep, he's going to be thinking of St. Maximin. Because this man can run you riot. If he needs a proper one-on-one coach to train him how to finish and pass. Because if he gets those two on point, he'll be such a good footballer. Such a good footballer. His assist today for Willock, That's big from him, man. Heading that back across goal, knowing exactly what to do. A lot of players were doing greedy in that position and tried to head at goal. He did the right thing. Put it into the danger area and let one of your players attack it. It's exactly what he did. St. Maximin today, very good performance. People were saying Isak wasn't good enough for Arsenal, by the way. A lot of people did say that. Not myself. I watched him in the Euros for Sweden. I thought he was very good. The thing with Isak was, and he's improved on that a little bit, to be fair, at Newcastle, he wasn't much of a goal scorer for me. He was more of an all-round striker. And today he showed that. Because that assist it wasn't his assist. But that link-up play for the first goal, brilliant. Any type of striker, watch that. Because the way he receives that ball, he turns, passes it into space to Bruno Guimaraes, who then loops it over to Alan St. Maximin, who heads it back across goal for Willock. That is a proper team goal. And that's Isak playing his part as an all-round striker. Now, he's a much better striker than Callum Wilson. So he needs to be playing. And I've been calling that for a while. I know he's had his injury issues. But if Isak can add goals to his game, which I expect him to do, because I remember in the Euros for Sweden, he wasn't quite getting enough goals, he will be a hell of a striker. Because his all-round game and his football IQ is there. I see it. He's a top player. And he's young still, and he's got a good frame. He's tall, he's strong, he's fast. He's got all the makings of a top striker, and he can be Newcastle striker for years to come. Please, I be mad. John says, sorry to hear it, man. It is what it is. Oh, please, I be mod. Sorry, I thought you said please be mad. I don't know how to do mods, to be completely honest. Maybe later, but I don't know how to do it right now. Who's going to win the league? To be honest, if we beat Liverpool next week, we'll win the league. My answer is going to find out when we are next week. If Arsenal good enough, get something at Liverpool. I'm not confident. This is what I said on stream yesterday after the Arsenal Leeds game. If Arsenal beat Liverpool at Anfield, we will win the league. I'm 100% convinced. If Arsenal beat Liverpool at Anfield next Sunday, in a week's time, the 9th of April, Arsenal will win the Premier League. I'm 100% convinced of that. Not just the fact that it's 3 points and the game done. It's the fact that it's Liverpool away. That is a massive psychological game. To win the league, you have to win Liverpool away. It's one of those games, man. It's such a tough place to go. No matter how Liverpool play, the intensity, the crowd, it's one of those grounds. If we win at Liverpool, we will win the league. I'm convinced of that. A draw isn't a bad result. And if you ask me now how I think the game will go, I think either we're going to win or we could. If we lose, I wouldn't be surprised if we do lose 4-5-0. It's just the way it is at Liverpool. We saw them dispatch Manchester United 7-0. But we've got as good chance as any. If Saliba's back as well, we're in good form. We've got a lot of our players fit. We have a good chance. Liverpool aren't in the greatest form. They're playing on Tuesday against Chelsea, which I will be streaming. So make sure you subscribe. Because that'll be another game I'll be streaming straight afterwards. Done a lot of content. And I think we've got a good chance against Liverpool away. But it's one of those games. Anything can happen. Will we beat Liverpool away? For me, not sure. It's a really tough one to call, to be completely honest. Because a lot of people would say Arsenal the better team right now. And honestly, if this game was anywhere other than Anfield, if it was at the Emirates, if it was in a neutral ground, I'd say we'd walk over Liverpool. But the fact is that Anfield, it can be one of those things. I just hope the players play the game and not the occasion. Because I know our Anfield record is terrible. The last time we won there, I think it was 2012 when we had that purple and black kit. I love that kit, by the way. And when like Santi Cazorla and Podolski were balling out. That's the last time we won there. So I think if we play the game, not the equation, we've got a really good chance. Arsenal lost to Newcastle last year. I think when they were away, yes, that was a game that basically cost us Champions League football because we lost to Tottenham and then Newcastle back-to-back. Newcastle away is a tough game, but I think we've got a better chance this year to beat Newcastle. I think if Newcastle play like this, like they did today against Manchester United, I think Arsenal got a good chance. Because I think football versus football, Arsenal will do well against Newcastle United. It's when Newcastle park the bus and sit back when I think Arsenal will struggle against them. But that's the thing about Newcastle. The reason they're doing so well is because they've got an edge to them. They're a multifaceted side. They can play the beautiful football like today, but equally, they can stink it up and play that counter-attacking, 10 at the back, park the bus formation and get results. They're a team that can play in multiple ways. Whereas a lot of other teams, they can only play one way. For example, Tottenham, they only play one way, the 5 at the back counter-attack. That's it. You need to play multiple facets of the game to do well in this league, and Newcastle has shown that. So big up them for that. 41 people watching right now, make sure you like and subscribe if you're new around here, if you love football content. Next comment, Liverpool will win at Arsenal on Sunday. I mean, look, to be fair, I would say Liverpool's still a favourites, given it's at Anfield and they're at home. I'm not sure though, man. Honestly, that game can go either way. Either way, to be completely honest. How many batterings have Manchester United taken who are in the top 9? That's so true. Manchester United have lost a lot of games in bad fashion this season. Brentford 4-0. Remember that one right at the start? That was bad. Man City 6-3. That was bad. Liverpool 7-0. That was bad. And today, I know it was only 2-0, but the way they lost that game was bad. Like, they got dominated. Manchester United have a bit of a soft underbelly, it seems. It seems Manchester United do play really well in multiple games, but when they come up against big sides away from home, they really struggle. It kind of reminds me of when Arsene Wenger was at Arsenal in his later years, where we do really well beating the lesser teams, but as soon as you come up against a top side away from home, we'd fold, we'd crumble, we lose 6-0, 5-1, etc. That's kind of the vibes that Manchester United have given me this season under Erik ten Hag. They made a lot of progress, especially from where they were in seasons gone by. Do not get me wrong, but they still do look a bit soft, and they've got a bit of a soft underbelly, and they're getting exposed in the big games, to be completely honest. It's something they need to resurrect if they want to go far in the Premier League, especially next season. Liverpool vs Arsenal's game of the week, 100%. Going to be massive. Of course, going to be streaming after that one as well. So subscribe and bell notifications on so you don't miss that one. Can't wait for that game. What a massive football game next week. United fans thought they won a title race. I thought they won a title race. I'm going to hold my hands up. I thought Manchester United won a title race because I was looking at them. I'm thinking they were good. They were looking really good, Manchester United. They were picking up results consistently. The time when I actually thought they were genuinely in a title race was when they beat Leeds United away 2-0. So I watched that game and I thought, right, Leeds are playing well. But they found a way to win that game 2-0. So I was thinking United are in a title race. But what happened? The amount of games caught up to them. Too many fixtures, too many competitions, and eventually they got a couple of suspensions and they kind of just took their foot off the gas. And I think a lot of players were playing really well as well, man. Rashford had literally player of the year form. Like form I've never seen this brother produce in his life. And I think that was kind of carrying them a little bit. They kind of got blinded by the fact they were playing so well as a team. They couldn't quite carry it forward over multiple games. And that's kind of what happens. Saka celebration influences unmatched. Yes, Willock holding the corner flag. To be fair, that was Thierry Henry's celebration first. So big up him for that. But yeah, that was Willock as well. Ex-Arsenal player, scoring against Manchester United. Brilliant goals. Well, he was influential again. I love seeing these Arsenal players thrive, especially the young ones like Willock. Didn't quite make it the Arsenal Academy, but the man has been unbelievable since he's gone to Newcastle. He's dominating that midfield. Him and Bruno Guimaraes in there with Longstaff as well at times. Joe Linton dropping in. It's a brilliant, brilliant midfield to watch. Man United might as well live themselves in a fish and chip shop, the amount of batterings they've took against the top 6 teams away this season. That's the way it is, man. They can't seem to fight in those big games. Away from home, they're getting dogs. Whenever a top team comes up against them, they can't seem to find a way to win that football match. 2012, yes, the last time Arsenal won, 2012, I believe, Luca, at Liverpool. It was also the last time we beat Tottenham at White Hart Lane was 2012, and we broke that this season. Very good point. Very good point. And I said going into the Tottenham game, it's very similar to actually to the Liverpool game. I said, we should beat Tottenham. We're a much better team than Tottenham, but we don't seem to have a good record at White Hart Lane. It's a North London derby, so I'm worried. I've got a similar feeling against Liverpool. But if we play the way we're meant to play, if we play how we've been playing this season, and Liverpool play how they've been playing this season, there's no reason Arsenal should not win that football match at Anfield. We've got all the capacity to do so. We've got the better team right now. We're on better form. We're striving for a league title. We should really win that football match, to be completely honest. I just hope the players play the game, not the occasion, because we will face adversity. We will not go 90 or 95 minutes in that match, not facing some sort of challenge from Liverpool Football Club. We just have to be able to compete with that. And if we go a goal down, we fight back, because the game is not over and we've got enough quality to win that football match. I think we lose next Sunday. Do you think title race over or not over, but ain't looking good? Does it start to panic? Luca, do not panic, my friend. Do not panic one bit. Even if we lose on Sunday to Liverpool, we can bounce back. For me, the way I look at it is losses happen. Every team loses. This isn't the Invincibles. Teams are going to lose. How I look at it is how you respond the game after. If you lose and then you lose the game after, that's when it's panic stations. That's kind of what I was a bit like, hold on a minute. We lost to Everton, then we drew to Brentford, then we lost to Man City. So rather than losing 3 points, we went to lose 8 out of 9 points. That's when there was panic stations for me. If you lose a game, you lose a game. It is what it is. What the top teams do is they bounce back. So even if we do lose to Liverpool on Sunday, we bounce back against West Ham and we demolish them. That's what the top teams do. They take their anger out on the next opponent. No mercy. So if we lose to Liverpool, West Ham getting battered. That should be our mentality. And if that's the case, it's fine. Because I don't see Man City winning every game from here to the end of the season. Not that they're not capable, because they are. It's just because Man City have been very inconsistent. And with the Champions League, with the FA Cup still, they've got a hell of a lot of fixtures as well. So I just can't see Man City winning every game from now to the end of the season, to be completely honest. What's your thoughts on Leeds United and Crystal Palace on Sunday? Do you mean like the comparison between the two of them? Because Arsenal played both of them. I thought Leeds United in that first half were very good, to be completely honest. I thought they were doing really well against Arsenal. As soon as Arsenal got that first goal through Jesus, they kind of fell apart, to be completely honest. And I think we kind of knocked the stuffing out of them. And we did what top teams do, where in a 25-minute spell, we blitzed them. We blew them out of the water. That's kind of what happened to Leeds United. Crystal Palace, when Arsenal played Crystal Palace, that was a Crystal Palace that had no confidence. I could see it because they weren't really thriving. Palace, for a lot of time this season, and to be fair, in most seasons, really, they've been a bit of a one-man team, I find. They give the ball to Zaha, they give the ball to Elise, they give the ball to Eze, do something special. I don't see Crystal Palace play as a team enough for me. And I think that's something that Roy Hodgson is going to try to implement. Why they got him in, I guess it's to stay afloat. When I reacted to West Ham Southampton, which happened earlier today on live stream, brilliant as well, live stream. Thank you for everyone that tuned into that. I said that a lot of these teams now, they're sacking their managers that are up and coming or like project managers to bring in these old veteran experienced managers just to stay alive, because even though it's not going to be pretty football, they want to stay in the Premier League. And that's what I think Crystal Palace have done. But obviously, I had Hodgson. They sacked him. He retired. Well, they didn't sack him, sorry. He retired. They brought in Vieira to obviously start a project, start a brand new era for Crystal Palace. That hasn't really worked out. They've got to it and gone, oh, hold a minute. We have a chance to be sacked here. They pushed the button. They brought in Roy Hodgson. And now they're hoping that he's going to keep them afloat. I guess they're probably going to get rid of him at the end of the season and start a new project again. But the way Crystal Palace see it, I think they will survive under Hodgson because he has got that experience about him. He knows that dressing room. The fans and the players believe in him a lot. So I think they'll be all right, to be completely honest. Liverpool do play midweek and we don't. That's a good point. They do play Chelsea midweek, will be a top game. But also sometimes you do want to play midweek. As long as you don't get injuries and you preferably don't lose that match and don't play like very intense game, the momentum's good. You can say fixture this, fixture that, fixture this, fixture that. When you're playing the games, the fixture pile-up doesn't matter because it's like second nature. You play, you rest. You play, you rest. It's kind of, you're not really thinking about it. You're just in the flow of things. It's when there's a break and you start to see injuries pile up, that's when the fixture congestion doesn't help. But when you got fixtures week in, week out, it can actually help to play in the midweek sometimes to keep the games moving, to give you a chance to right your wrongs from the week before. I mean, when we lost to Manchester United, we had that game in the Europa League to kind of just right our wrongs a little bit. And you need that sometimes because when you're losing, you do sometimes need a game to just liven it up, get the team going again, and hopefully push on and maybe get a win. Man United is struggling, injuries at the moment. Yes, they have. Garnacho's out injured, Casemiro suspended, etc. But that's no excuse. I mean, Ten Hag, this guy, man, he's saying, oh, Arsenal don't get any injuries. The guy's just waffling, man. He's making excuses. Every team suffers injuries. Every team. It's just the way it is. The thing is, though, when you're a team chasing a title, have you noticed you get less injuries? Have you noticed that? When you're chasing the title, you get less injuries. Why is this? Because of a mentality thing. I 100% believe this is a thing. When you're chasing the title, you get less injuries because everyone wants to be on that pitch. Jesus was yearning to be on that football pitch. Saliba is yearning to be back on the pitch. Saka, Trossard, when they were injured, they wanted to get back on that pitch instantly, man, because we're chasing a title. Everyone wants to play. When you're in Liverpool's shoes right now and you're not playing very well, the fans are on the team's back, a win doesn't look like it's coming from anywhere, it's looking like the end of the world for them, you don't want to be on that pitch. You think Luis Diaz is racing to be back on the pitch for Liverpool? This man's been out for ages. Conte came back yesterday. This brother's had a hamstring injury. When has a hamstring injury kept someone out for 6 months? It's never been a thing. A hamstring injury is usually 2 months maximum. Conte don't want to be on the pitch. You don't want to be in a team when they're struggling because then you're getting the brunt of it from the fans. When you're injured and when you're in the treatment table, you're getting paid because you're still in the contract, so you're getting paid, but you don't have to face any media criticism. So I honestly think it's a psychological thing. Now that Arsenal playing so well, all these players want to be fit, even if they've got a slight niggle. Because I do think some of these Arsenal players, I do think they're slightly injured. Maybe they've got a little bit of like cramp or slight niggle. Then they're not letting it phase them. They want to be back on that pitch and playing because they want to be a part of that team that hopefully wins the title. Man United struggling with injuries right now is piling up. A lot of the fixtures, that's the way it goes. If you want to be in every competition, you got to have the squad to do so. That's how it goes. Okay, evening, everyone. Mohammed, thank you for tuning in, my friend. Yes, I agree with you, but I think Roy Hodgson can keep this team up because they had 31 shots against Leicester, and with Vieira, they were averaging 1 shot per game. That's a really good sign because Crystal Palace struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. Pure and simple, they do. Under Hodgson, maybe it might be a new manager bounce, so I don't want to speak too soon, but if they can get that ball in the back of the net, man, they've got more than every chance to try and win, to stay in this Premier League division. I think they will. I think Crystal Palace will. I think they've got enough points already to give them a good chance of staying in this division, to be completely honest. Hi, M Photo says, thank you for joining to stream, my friend. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Back to the Manchester United Newcastle game, because that's the brunt of this video, to be completely honest. I think I have to say Newcastle really did impress me. They really did, man. If they make Champions League, which I do believe they've got a very good chance of doing so, I did predict they would make Champions League around the halfway point in the season. I did my predictions. I said Newcastle will finish 4th. They've got every reason to do so, and no one can say they don't deserve it because Newcastle have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Big ups them and big ups their fan base as well because they've waited a long time. This fan base, they've really been struggling, and they've got some very good players in that squad. They've got a team that fights for the badge, And they've also got quality. Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, I already touched upon him. Unbelievable footballer, Bruno Guimaraes, man. Walks into any midfield in the Premier League. Sven Botman and Fabian Schär, brilliant centre-back partnership. Kieran Trippier, veteran right-back, such a good player as well, man. Set-piece taker as well. Dan Burn, I didn't rate him, to be completely honest, but the brother's playing well. Like, he's doing his thing for Newcastle. There's a left-back, winning headers, being a strong competitor. Then you move into Willock, workhorse. Sean Longstaff, workhorse. Their front three's got ability with it. Isak getting goals. Almiron wasn't playing today, but Almiron's played his part this season. Murphy, workhorse as well. St. Maximan, flair, trickery. He looks like a tricky customer. I think Newcastle got talent all over the pitch. And if they make Champions League, the league should be worried. Because then they've got the license to spend money. If they make Champions League, no one can say, oh, Newcastle, they can't spend. Bro, they can spend if they make Champions League. The owners will go, here's our revenue from the Champions League. Here's our signings. Madison, in the door, etc. They're going to sign all these top players, Newcastle. I want to see what Newcastle going to be like next season if they make Champions League. So I'm hoping they don't. Not to them. It's just for the sake of the Premier League, I hope they don't. Because I don't want to give them any license to spend any more money. But big up to Newcastle. I can't hate what they're doing. They're playing brilliant football. And they've got both sides of their game. The ugly side that they did at the Emirates, where they just sit back, absorb pressure and counter-attack. But equally, they've got the good side of their game like this, where they play teams out the park and play beautiful football from start to finish. If Arsenal wins the titles, will you go to the parade? Absolutely, I'll be at the parade, bro. I live in North London anyway. It's only up the street from me. I'm 20 minutes from the Arsenal ground. I will be at the parade 100%, and I will vlog that parade. And also, I've got tickets for Arsenal versus Wolves on the final day, and I will be vlogging that 100%, provided Arsenal hopefully win the title. So I will be there no matter what. We will be there no matter what. That's how I see it. I will be at that game. Let's move on to Manchester United now. Because big up Newcastle, by the way. They played brilliantly. Manchester United have got a lot of things to talk about because they are a team I've watched a lot of this season. I've watched a lot of football this season. And Manchester United haven't been one of those sides that have been in a title race. And a big team, they're on TV a lot. Manchester United have been on TV, so I've had the opportunity to watch them a lot. And what I think about Manchester United is I think they are a side that is on the up. I really do. I think under Erik ten Hag, they've got a great manager there. Finally, Manchester United have got a proper manager in the door. Because since they lost Sir Alex Ferguson due to retirement, David Moyes, not the manager. I'm sorry, he was not the right kind of guy. Even at West Ham, he's struggling right now. Then they brought in, I believe it was Mourinho. Mourinho's serial winner, but he's not a Manchester United manager, Mourinho. I never saw it. He's not that type of DNA manager for me. Then, of course, they had other managers in there. They had, what was that guy's name? Louis van Gaal, I believe, wasn't quite at the races. Ralf Rangnick wasn't at the races. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't at the races. I'm probably missing a couple managers as well. But now they've landed on Erik ten Hag, who is Ajax previous manager, Champions League, etc. Champions League experience with Ajax, etc. He's a top manager. Erik ten Hag is a top manager. I have a lot of faith in the guy. I think if they keep Erik ten Hag and they build around him, Manchester United will be good for years to come. I truly do believe that. They need a striker because Weghorst is not that guy, man. He's not a Manchester United caliber striker. How he starts up front for them is crazy. How they decide to sign him in January is crazy. The man is not good enough. Manchester United are the biggest club in England. They are the biggest. And the striking position is the most lucrative in football. The striker is who you spend the most money on. They are the game winners. They are who everyone has in the back of their shirts. How is Weghorst Manchester United starting striker is beyond me. They need to sign a top striker in summer. Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen, look at those players. Look at those type of players. You are Manchester United. I honestly think if they sign one of those two players, they've got Casemiro for a couple more seasons at least. They've got Rashford who's playing well off the wings. They need to sort out right wing because for me, Anthony isn't quite good enough. Sancho isn't quite good enough. Garnacho could be an option long term, but he's more of a left winger. Bruno Fernandes is a quality player. Ericsson, I know he's been injured, but potentially sign a box-to-box proper midfielder like Bellingham if they've got the money to do so. Then they also got a back foot that I think is really good. Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Varane's looking really good. Right back, of course, Dalot or Wan-Bissaka. Let's see how they do there. And I think De Gea, although he was good today, they probably do need to upgrade on him. Manchester United have every chance to go far this season. I really do believe, sorry, not this season, next season. I really do believe that. If they make Champions League this season and potentially go far in Europa League, they've already won the Carabao Cup. They might win the FA Cup. This has been a good season for Man United. I mean, if there's any United fans in the chat, feel free to disagree, but I think this has been a good season for them. I think they've done really, really well. They've made top four, which probably was their ambition, especially how bad they did last season. They won the Carabao Cup. They won a trophy already. That was what one of the fans wanted. They've done really well this season. They just need to build. They need to definitely improve themselves in Big Six away games or just away games in general. Because away against the top teams away from home, they struggle and they struggle badly. It's not just losing, they're losing badly.
they're getting beat bad. Brentford, they got beat bad. They got beat bad today. Man City demolished them. Liverpool demolished them. Arsenal, fair enough, it was only 3-2, but Arsenal did demolish them in terms of football being played. So I do think Manchester United need to improve that. But under Eric Ten Hag, I actually see progress at Manchester United for once. I really do. As a non-Manchester United fan, as an unbiased opinion, I see a trajectory on the up for Manchester United. What do you think? Who do you think will be in the title race next season? Brilliant question, C1. Absolute top question. I think in the title race next season, Man City will be there. Of course, they are every season. I think Arsenal will be there, depending on our summer. I'd like to think we'd be in the title race next season, but you can have seasons like this where you just go fight for the title and then you fall back to reality again. I think Chelsea, honestly, could be there. I've got a funny feeling if they sack Potter and bring in Nagelsmann, for example, have a really good summer transfer window, a good preseason under Nagelsmann, I do believe Chelsea can be in that title race next season. I think Manchester United can be in there. And Liverpool, if they make Champions League this season, I think they'll be in the title race next season. Honestly, I see five teams. I don't think it's quite ready for Newcastle yet, but I see 5 teams in that title race next season, which is crazy to think. Because normally at the start of the season, you think there's maybe 2, or if you're lucky, 3 teams fighting for the title. But right now, I see 5 potential teams fighting for the title next season. Obviously, I could be wrong, and I probably will be wrong, because at the start of this season, I said the title race will be between Man City, Liverpool, and Tottenham if we're lucky. But it's gone completely different, and we've had Arsenal, Man City fight for the title, and Liverpool and Tottenham being nowhere near it. So who knows, man? I think it'll be a brilliant next season. But there's still a lot of football to play this season as well. Sounds good, lad. I'll try to see if I can see you on TV. Try to do so, but I think that parade will be absolutely packed. And everyone's going to be wearing red and white as well. So I don't think you've got a chance to see us, to be completely honest. I think even under Potter, the team will have a type of season Manchester United have this season. Potentially, I really do think so. I think Chelsea are also on the up. A lot of teams in the Premier League now, I think I can see them making progress. I think there's been a lot of teams in this Premier League that are not necessarily banking on instant results anymore. There'll be a lot of teams that sign these managers for instant success. Tottenham have done it under Conte, Mourinho. It hasn't quite panned out that way. Whereas I think now there's a lot of teams that have kind of given up on that style and actually tried to sign managers that are going to build a project, build a long-term project. They've seen what Arteta's done at Arsenal and gone, hold on a minute, we've got a chance here. We're gonna try and sign a manager that's got young, up-and-coming ideas, fresh perspective on football, and try and give them time to build a project. And honestly, it can go well. Arteta has shown that it can go really well, but equally, just because it's gone well for Arteta doesn't mean it's going to go well for every manager. I always say, if you're going to bring in a manager that's young, they either have to be world-class or have the potential to be world-class, in your opinion. Arteta was not world-class when Arsenal signed him as manager, but they obviously believe he to be the potential to be world-class, given his ideas, given the type of caliber manager he's worked under in Pep Guardiola. Is Potter a world-class manager? Absolutely not. De Zerbi has proved that under Brighton, they're just as good, if not better. Has he got the potential to be world-class? That is what you've got to ask yourself. And Chelsea definitely think so, the fact that they've signed him in the first place. But the fact that Julian Nagelsmann's on the market now, I've already heard whispers from Fabrizio Romano, etc., that Chelsea potentially could get rid of Potter. It could be sooner rather than later if there's more bad results that way. And Nagelsmann could be an option to replace him. Who knows, man? I do think Chelsea, though, given the backing that they've got from Todd Bowley, given the type of players that they're willing to bring in, given the fan base they've got, given the success they've had in recent seasons, I would not be surprised if Chelsea are back to their best next season. Also, what do I think is a problem at Tottenham? I mean, have I got all day to explain this? There's so many problems at Tottenham. I think the number one problem is the board. Daniel Levy, you've obviously got Enoch. It's not quite working, man. Like, they're not quite bringing the message across from the board to the fans, to the players, to the staff. It's not all aligned. At a football club, you all have to move in the same direction. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's like everything's divided. It's like saying you can be a manager in, a manager out, as long as you're all on the same page. You can't have some of you manager in, some of you manage out, some of you want instant success, some of you want a project, some of you want top 4, some of you want the FA Cup. You need to be all aligned on the same page. And Tottenham have never had that. Never. Under Pochettino, it looked like they did for a bit. But even then, they never had it. And under Pochettino, they never backed him. They never backed the manager enough, especially when they made Champions League final. That should have been the opportunity to go, you know what? You made Champions League final on the down tools. Let's give you the money in summer to push on. Because Tottenham looked like an attractive proposition. They didn't. And they've just fallen back to mediocrity. And the Tottenham fan base have a right to be annoyed, especially given where Arsenal are at. Arsenal and Tottenham were neck and neck 12 months ago. Tottenham pipped Arsenal's Champions League spot. Everyone was saying, right, that's it. Tottenham are going to kick on now, go ahead of Arsenal. This season, it's been a complete reversal in fortunes. How would you feel? If I was a Tottenham fan right now, I'm looking across the road, I'm thinking, oh my God, Arsenal might win the Premier League. We were neck and neck with them 12 months ago. What has happened? It's absolutely crazy. I think Tottenham need to revert to style. They need to stop signing these managers like Conte and Mourinho to try and bring them instant success. Sign a project manager and start playing beautiful football. Because even if they don't win trophies, they're not winning trophies right now. But at least bring some exciting football and bring a team that the fans can depend upon. Bring a team that wants to fight for the badge. Because I see that Tottenham team and they look a shell of themselves. I'm going to watch them tomorrow against Everton. I think it'll be a brilliant game. Make sure you subscribe because I'll be streaming after that game as well. And I want to see how Tottenham perform that game. Because when I watch Tottenham, I've watched them a lot this season. I don't see a team of fighters. I don't see a team that's willing to commit themselves to the badge. I don't see a team that's aligned with the fan base. The fan base doesn't really feel aligned to that team. If you do a keep, sell, bench for Tottenham, majority of them is going to be sell. Whereas when I do it for Arsenal, I'm saying keep for a lot of the players. If the fan base doesn't see themselves aligned with that football team, it's not a football team they enjoy watching. It's not a football team they can see as one of their own. And I think that's a really big problem for Tottenham Hotspur. For me, needs to bring a young up-and-coming manager in. Thomas Frank, I think, is a really good option for them. Nagelsmann, if they can pull him off, that'd be a brilliant manager to bring in as well. Young, up-and-coming, fresh ideas, good manager that they can back and also let him implement his style on his players and bring in the academy involved in the team and get some really exciting footballers in there. For me, their other problem is their fan base. It's only now the fan base want the board out. Levy out and Enik out, it's finally trending. Yeah, I get you. The fan getting the board out is one of the easiest things to do though in football. I feel like whenever there's a problem, everyone's like, oh, manager out, fan base out. I mean, not fan base, manager out, board out. Everyone always calls for the board. Kroenke out, Glazers out, FSG out, Enik out, you name it. Everyone always goes for the board as soon as there's a problem in football. Yes, that can be the problem. But also, you're going to get extremely lucky to hit these oil-rich Saudi Arabian owners. You're going to get very lucky, these Qatari owners. For me, you can still have success despite your owners. Look at Arsenal. We wanted Kroenke out for the longest time possible. We're finding success now. So I honestly think it's very easy to say the board out and all that and the owner out. Focus on the manager and stuff, man. Get the manager out. Obviously, Conte is gone. I think you should get a proper manager in and focus on backing him bit by bit. Because you don't have to give your manager 300 million to win the title. You just have to give him good money and let him sign players he wants and back him in the right way. And I think that's exactly what Arsenal did with Arteta, and similar thing can happen with Tottenham and any other club as well that are trying to make a project and make progress in this Premier League. And the biggest problem is that the board cares about profit over trophies. They're bringing NFL concerts, F1 trending. That's like any other board nowadays. Football is a business. Whether we like it or not, football is a business, man. They've obviously... Levy is a businessman. He's a very shrewd businessman as well. When he built Tottenham Stadium, the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he built a roof on the top. Why? Because he wanted to be able to host boxing. He wanted to be able to host NFL matches, concerts, etc. Even the F1 trending things you were saying. That's just the way he is. Football is a business-oriented thing. They're worried about their turnover. The stakeholders want profit. That's the way it's got. You can achieve both, though. I think football fans get annoyed when they say, oh, all they care about is the money. It's a business at the end of the day for them, man. Football is a business. But you can still achieve profit and have a good team as well. You can. Because I guarantee if you sign these top players, shirt sales, making the Champions League, it's a return on investment. Just like buying a stock or share, a football club can be that. If you sign the right players and back your manager properly, you can get returns. The difference is between football as a business and any other business in the world is football has emotional attachment, just like any other sport in the world. You've got fan bases. You've got fans that genuinely, it makes or breaks their weekend whether their team wins that football match. So it's not just, it's a results business for them, but also they need to be aware that it is an emotional tied business, football, very emotionally tied. So they have to be able to have some responsibility to bring some results to the table, despite only really caring for their income and their revenue. True, even Bowley is trying to rebuild Stamford Bridge. He will struggle to do that, though, I believe, because I think Stamford Bridge actually got some type of thing where the land it's on is very sacred or something, where it's going to be a struggle to rebuild it or move it. Something like that I've heard about Stamford Bridge. But Todd Bowley, look, fair play to Todd Bowley. He's been a really involved owner. Chelsea hit the lottery twice in a row. It's crazy. How they get Abramovich, one of the most loyal, one of the most integrated owners, so you see him at every match, so fascinating. He's basically like a fan. And then they've got Todd Bowley as well, another owner just like that, who's at every game, a big fan of the club, willing to spend money. It's crazy. Chelsea hit the lottery twice in a row. It's incredible to see. So I really do rate the fact that he's really integrated. For me, though, with Chelsea and Bowley, he needs to let the football directors do their thing and let Potter do his thing, man. You can't just throw money at it. This isn't the NFL or whatever American sport he thinks it is. He can't just throw money at it. Everything is just throwing money at the problem. Oh, sign this player. What Chelsea have done, and it's backfired on them, is they've tried to sign the best players available. Cucurella was available. It looked like Man City were floating for Cucurella. Hold on a minute. Man City want Cucurella. Oh, if Man City want this player, it means he must be good. Let's sign Cucurella. Backfired. Flop of the season. Arsenal want Mudryk. Hang on a minute. Arsenal top of the league. They don't sign a lot of players. They're willing to spend 100 million on Mudryk. Oh my God, let's try and get Mudryk from them. That'd be a brilliant signing then. Flop. Why is it a flop? Mudryk doesn't suit Chelsea. Mudryk, fair enough, he should score yesterday in his chances, but he's playing in the back five. When you got Ben Chilwell and Cucurella on the left-hand side, Mudryk is forced to come inside. He's not an inside footballer. You need him to be a touchline winger. That's where he did his most damage for Shakhtar Donetsk. Where does Martinelli play? Where does Trossard play? Left wing as a touchline winger. Mudryk was an Arsenal signing. Chelsea, you can't just sign these players that other top teams want because they're good players. Because they're good players because they fit their system. Mudryk fitted Arsenal's system. He would have been that touchline winger that Arsenal were craving for. We end up signing Trossard, and big thing we did because he's been brilliant for us. Mudryk, he's being forced to play inside. It's square pegs in round holes. He's not the right solution for Chelsea. They wasted money on him. Enzo Fernandez, spent a lot of money on him. We're still going to wait to see if he's going to be a good signing or not. Is he the player for them? I don't think so, because Enzo Fernandez for me is a box-to-box player. They're playing him as a CDM. Fair enough, Kante's been out, and maybe that's the reason. Maybe with Kante back now, they play Enzo Fernandez in a more advanced position. But it's just not going right for Chelsea. They're throwing money at it with no idea. It's just money. It's just all the money thrown at the world, but they're not a plan behind it. I just don't see from Chelsea, to be completely honest. I think it's likely the stadium is getting knocked down with a stadium at a new site. That would be crazy if that's the case. I thought Stamford Bridge was getting increasing capacity anyway to around the 60,000 side, or maybe it's already done that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Chelsea, they want to grow, obviously. I think Chelsea deserve to grow potentially, given the fact that they are one of the biggest clubs in England now. They've grown a lot over recent seasons. They've won they're champions of Europe twice now, won the Premier League multiple times. They're a big football club, Chelsea. So I do think they deserve to do that and build on, but they need to get back to their best, because 11th negative goal difference after 30 or so games is not good enough. Not good enough by any stretch of the imagination, and they need a lot of work to be done. I say he has made signings that fit the system. Enzo, Badiashile, Felix, etc. Yes, I agree, but look how much money's been spent. Felix is a loan as well. So if you want to keep Felix permanently, you spend another 60, 70 million in the summer. Mudryk doesn't fit the system. Cucurella doesn't fit the system. You're signing a lot of players. If you're a smart football team, yeah, what you do is you bring in a manager like Graham Potter and you say, look, I'll let you do whatever you want for these next 6 months. Just train the current players. And then in the summer, you tell me what players you want to fit the system and what players in the current squad don't fit the system, and we'll move them on. But no, he's tried to sign players when he hasn't even got his system made yet. That's like me becoming manager of Lidl, for example, and then the Lidl coming to me and saying, okay, you've become manager of this store. Here's 100,000. Spend it on what you want right now. I don't know. I just stepped in the door. I literally just became manager this second. How have I got all this money to spend? That's what they've done with Potter. He's walked in the doors and instantly they've said, what do you need? Brother, I've just turned up here. How do I know what I need? What he should have done is he should have said to the board, I appreciate you wanting to back me. I really do appreciate that, because at Brighton, I didn't have a lot of financial tools. Can you give me 6 or 7 months to the end of the season to implement my current style on the current crop of players? It gives me less players to put my style on. And then at the end of the season, I'll see what's working, what isn't working, and I'll start to bring in players from then. But no, Todd Boehly's like, hang on a minute, guys. I want to win the Premier League. I want to sign all these top players. I want to build a super team. Bang, 120 million on Enzo. Bang, 100 million on Mudryk. Bang, money on him. Bang, money on her. It's crazy, man. All this money that they're trying to spend is incredible. Chelsea got a lot of problems. They got more problems than answers, to be honest, right now. But I do see a positive trajectory, because they've got the makings there. They've got a manager that's a project manager that's got potential. I see good football there. They're signing top players. They're able to attract the top players with all the money they're spending. They've got an owner that cares about the club and is willing to invest a lot of money. The makings are there of a top team going forward. Whether they'll ever reach that stage, that's yet to be seen. But I can see Chelsea reaching there one day, to be completely honest. I think that's the smartest thing. Yeah, I don't know if you're referring to what I said about the fact that they should have given Potter time to implement his style on the current players. But yeah, I do believe that is the way they should have done it, to be fair, Chelsea. I mean, I love talking about football, and Chelsea's one of those clubs I could talk about for ages, to be completely honest, because there's so much you can talk about that team. So much. I watch them week in, week out. Even yesterday against Aston Villa, I didn't stream afterwards because I had stuff to do, but I'm watching them thinking, I'm watching Chelsea at home lose 2-0 to Aston Villa. It doesn't matter how you play football. It doesn't matter if you deserve it, if you don't deserve it. You can't at home lose 2-0 to Villa if you're Chelsea. I've never seen it. I've never seen Chelsea lose 2-0 at Villa and it be so predictable. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I kind of didn't expect anything different. I'm watching the game happen in front of my eyes. I'm not thinking, wow, Chelsea's going to get back in this. I'm thinking, Chelsea look toothless and they look feeble. And that's a bad combination. If you look toothless up front and you look feeble at the back, you're going to lose a lot of football matches. A lot of football matches. Because that's not the way to play football. And Chelsea look both those things. They have no attacking talent whatsoever. They have all attacking talent in the world. They have no actual clinicality up front whatsoever. And at the back, despite the Koulibaly signing, despite players like Cucurella, etc., despite Chilwell, despite Reece James, top defenders, they look passive and they look like they're going to concede. And they look like they're going to concede every time the team goes forward. Watkins had multiple chances yesterday. He almost scored straight away. Then he did score minutes later. It's criminal how Chelsea concedes so much. It's honestly criminal. As for Stamford Bridge, the stadium hasn't been expanded. That's the point of the new ground. Makes sense. If they've got an opportunity to expand Stamford Bridge, though, that's not a bad idea. Chelsea's a very, very expensive piece of land, though. Around that Chelsea area, very, very expensive. I study around there in Imperial, so I know I'm right next to Chelsea. It's a very expensive piece of land. But also the thing with Chelsea, right, is they're worried about the new ground, worried about the team right now, man. Like, worry about the team because they got a lot to improve on, to be completely honest. Let me know your thoughts on any other teams as well. I'm happy to cover any other side. I'm going to talk more about the Manchester United-Newcastle match, who I think is making top 4. I think Arsenal, Man City will make it, 100%. The other teams making top 4. I think if I had to choose right now, I'd say Manchester United and Newcastle to make top 4. Genuinely, I do. It's not just based on the result today. I genuinely think Manchester United and Newcastle make top 4. I said it from before. Liverpool can. They very much can. But in my reaction yesterday after the game against Man City, I said it. Liverpool, they're too inconsistent. They're Jekyll and Hyde. The only thing that's saving Liverpool is the fact that their home record is good and every other team doesn't seem to be doing anything, doesn't seem to have any type of consistency, to be completely honest. Like Tottenham are a bit inconsistent. Tottenham I'm watching tomorrow, they're very inconsistent. I think without, what's his name, Bentancur, he's injured for the season. He was one of their best players, by the way. Son's not firing. Richarlison isn't firing. Conte, who arguably would have been their best chance of making Champions League, has been sacked. I don't see Tottenham making top 4 now. So I don't see Tottenham. Liverpool a bit here and there. They could make it. Newcastle, I think, have got a very good chance as any. Manchester United, I think, have built up enough points already to make it. And they've got, fair enough, they've already played Arsenal twice. They've already played Man City twice. They've already played Liverpool twice. So they haven't got many tough games lined up. And Newcastle twice have played as well. Brighton, I'd love if they make Champions League just for the story. I think there's a brilliant, well-run football club as well, especially under De Zerbi. And they've got some ballers in that team as well. Mitoma, Caicedo, top players. Ferguson as well, top player as well. He's looking like that young striker, unbelievable. But I can see Manchester United and Newcastle making it, if I had to be completely honest. CUN says Liverpool, I don't think they will. They're too far from the top 4. Yes, I agree with you, but also the top 4 race is open, man. It's very open because there's a lot of teams right now that are just not consistent. No team wants top 4, it seems. No team is putting together enough points to make that top 4 position. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool do. They've got a good chance as any. It reminds me of the season when the year after Liverpool won league, when Van Dijk got his ACL injury, when Pickford cleaned him out. Liverpool made top 4 that season, and they were poor. There was a month stretch, I think it was January, February, where they weren't winning a game at Anfield. So they can make top 4. They just got to make sure they get the right results. They got to make sure they got to get the right results around them, and maybe they can make a top 4 this season. But right now, I think Manchester United and Newcastle are in a much better position to do so, and they're playing better football and being slightly more consistent. It's between Newcastle and Tottenham for the last place. So you're assuming Manchester United are locked for that 3rd position, I assume. Yeah, and I think between Newcastle and Tottenham, for me, I'm giving it to Newcastle. Newcastle have an edge. Newcastle have shown that they can play football, multiple facets. Tottenham play one style of football, and it bores me to death. I'm not a Tottenham fan. I hate Tottenham, in fact, because I'm an Arsenal fan. But watching Tottenham, I feel bad. Like, it's got to that point. You know, when you're opposition fan base, when they hate you, that's one thing. When they feel sorry for you, that's a whole nother thing. If an opposition fan feels sorry for you, that's when you know you're in the bin. I feel sorry for Tottenham fans because they're watching fossil football. If they play Nottingham Forest at home, if they play Man City at home, they play the same way. 5 at the back, and they play to defend. It's crazy. It's criminal. They play 2 CDMs, they play a back 5, and they still concede goals. It's actually criminal how Tottenham play this way against any opposition. I'd hate to be a fan base for them. So I'd hate to be a Tottenham fan. Their fan base, I genuinely feel sorry for Tottenham. Between Newcastle and Tottenham, I'm giving it to Newcastle. If I had to choose, I think Newcastle got a better chance. Let me know if you agree in the live chat. Newcastle have shown they can play like Tottenham in a defensive style and counter-attack, but equally they can play like today and dominate Manchester United out of the park. When Tottenham play United in a few weeks' time, I guarantee Tottenham will not play like Newcastle played today. I guarantee it. Tottenham will sit back and they'll try and counter-attack. It's crazy. So yeah, between the two, I think Newcastle got a better chance of making top 4, to be completely honest. And I think they've got a bit of edge to them, and they've got more to fight for. They've got more fight about them. They're more intense, and they're playing for the badge. Newcastle, big up them. Liverpool are 7 points behind Tottenham, so it will be hard. Yes, and the thing is, people are saying Liverpool are going to make a run. They're at the Champions League. They're at the FA Cup. They're going to make a run. You can say Liverpool are going to make the run. We've been saying that since about August. Since August this season, everyone said Liverpool are going to make a run now. Liverpool are going to make a run. Suddenly, there's going to be no games left to make a run in. It's crazy. Like, the games are counting down. There's not going to be enough games for Liverpool to make a run in. And the thing with Liverpool is their fixtures aren't very kind because they've got some tough games dotted in. They've got Chelsea and they've got Arsenal. Now, Liverpool, I expect them to at least get 3 points. I think they'll either beat Chelsea or Arsenal. I genuinely do think they'll win one of those games. But if they get 0 points in the next 2 games, that gives them what? 8 games left, and they've got a hell of a mountain to climb. So are Liverpool locked to get top 4? Not by any stretch of imagination. I think they can. And honestly, if Liverpool do make top 4, I think a lot of people are assuming they still will. But if they don't, my days, that's a big story. Liverpool, even though it's pessimistic Liverpool fans last season would have said, even if we don't win the title, we'll maybe finish 2nd or 3rd at the stretch. No one on this planet at the start of the season, and you're lying if you said you were, would have predicted Liverpool not to finish in Champions League. No one. They would have structured their wage bill. They would have brought people like Mohamed Salah. They would have paid wages on the assumption that they're making Champions League football next season. If they don't make Champions League, which is looking like they're not at this stage, oh my days, the ramifications this has on a football club is massive. Who they sign in the summer? Can they attract Jude Bellingham anymore? Can they afford to pay for Jude Bellingham anymore if they don't make Champions League? Can they afford to keep some of these top players? They're going to have a clear out. And I think it's needed. I think Liverpool need a clear out. I spoke a lot about them yesterday on my stream after the Man City Liverpool game. I spoke a lot about how Liverpool need a big clear out, man. They're falling on deaf ideas. The mental fatigue in that football club is more than apparent. So whether they sign new players, whether they get rid of the old players, Liverpool have got a lot to change this summer. It's going to be a massive club to talk about. If they make Champions League, it'll be one of those things because it'll just be a blip. It'll just be, look, it's a horrible season, but we still made Champions League. And they can go again in the summer and potentially fight for the title next season. But if they don't make Champions League, and it's not looking likely right now, Liverpool are going to have a lot of questions asked about them, honestly. And their fan base is going to have a long, hard look at the staff, the manager, the board, and start to think, and the players as well, and start to think, hang on a minute, is this Liverpool team good enough to really fight for the title anymore? Or are we going to slump back into mediocrity? Because a lot of young people won't know. When I first started watching football around 2007, 2008, Liverpool were terrible. They were finishing below Everton. They were terrible, man. Like, they were good in Europe, but in the league, they were terrible, Liverpool. They finished 7th, 6th every season. It's only really recently they had that one good season under Brendan Rodgers when Luis Suarez completely took the league by storm. But other than that, it's only since Klopp's come in where Liverpool really started to actually take advantage and start to play like a top team and start to play like the second best team in the history of England, which they are, behind Manchester United, slightly behind in my opinion. But before that, Liverpool were not a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Don't let your minds fool you. So they really need to do a lot in terms of investment and make that Champions League to get back into fighting for the title. Because if they don't, they could slump back to mediocrity. And no Liverpool fan wants to see that. For Liverpool, I like that Bajcetic kid, but he's the only good midfielder at the club. Bajcetic is really good. He's 18. Of course, he's injured now. I do see a good player there. He's got those like noodle legs that Pedri has where he can run around. He's obviously got Spanish descent as well. So he's really good, technically gifted. But you're right. He's the only good midfielder at the club. I see what you're saying. Harvey Elliott, is he a midfielder? For me, he's not long-term. I think he's more of a winger, to be honest. Fabio Carvalho, is he the answer long-term? No. Thiago, for me, Thiago, not reliable enough, and he's getting old. For me, Thiago, you keep at the club because there's no point selling him. He's not going to have any resale value, but you can't rely on him. Fabinho, too old. The brother's stiff in that midfield, Fabinho. Henderson, he's a good player to have around the locker room, but he should not be starting week in, week out, Henderson. He shouldn't. He's not good enough to start week in, week out, man. That's just the way it is. He doesn't start week in, week out for England. So why is he starting week in, week out for Liverpool? Liverpool should be better than England. Let's be completely honest. That's just the way it is. Who do I think is the biggest club in the world? Great question. For me, it's either Manchester United or Real Madrid. I'm gonna give it to Manchester United. I think Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Bayern Munich are the 5 biggest teams in the world. Feel free to disagree. It goes Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Bayern Munich. 5 biggest teams in the world for me. In England, it goes Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Oh, who's 5th? That's a good question. I don't know who's 5th. I'd have to think about that because there's some teams that are potentially 5th. You got Tottenham floating around there. Everton, a massive football club. Don't let anyone fool you from that. Forest are a massive football club. Aston Villa are a massive football club. There's some big teams in England. But yeah, biggest club in the world for me, Manchester United and Real Madrid. Man United just edging it for me. But it's a really good question. Honestly, it could be any team. There's the thing about Real Madrid and Barcelona, right? And I've said this a lot. Every single football player, and you're lying if you said you haven't. Anyone that's ever dreamed of playing football, you know you'd want to at one point play for either Real Madrid or Barcelona. In your head, it's one of the two. You say, oh, I'd play for both. Yeah, but everyone in their head goes, the pinnacle of anyone's career is Real Madrid or Barcelona. If you reach those two clubs, you peaked as a footballer. Because they're just that type of teams, man. The Galacticos of Real Madrid. You got Barcelona. Historic, traditional football clubs, man. Unbelievable teams. For me, it was Real Madrid. I loved Real Madrid growing up. Unbelievable team. I just love the way they play football as well. C1 says, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man United, Barcelona, AC Milan, Liverpool in that order. AC Milan, wow. AC Milan are a big team. Obviously, I went to Milan last week, went to the San Siro. AC Milan have won 7 Champions Leagues. They are a massive football club. And yeah, I just think the Italian league hasn't got enough appeal. That's why I didn't rank them. AC Milan potentially 6. PSG as well could be in the shout, but they haven't won a Champions League. And although they've got a lot of money behind them, the French league is a bit of a farmers league, to be completely honest. But yeah, AC Milan's a brilliant shout to be in there, to be completely honest. Arsenal as well could be in there. I think Arsenal's a top 10 biggest club in the world. I'll be completely honest with that. But yeah, AC Milan a really good shout. Really good shout for that top team in the world. But you say Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man United, Barcelona. I'm not sure if that's an order. Oh, you said it in that order. Okay, so Bayern Munich, second biggest club in the world. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they're 5th, but still, I agree with most of the teams on there in terms of the order I don't agree with, but the teams on there, definitely agree with that. Great list. So yeah, moving forward though, in terms of the title race, let's touch on that as well before I end the stream. The title race. Who's going to win it? Arsenal or Man City? For me, I hope it's my team Arsenal. I really do. But yesterday, Man City scared me. They did. They really scared me yesterday. Man City, for the first time yesterday, I saw an actual really good team. Like a team that clicked. Really clicked. I've watched Man City a lot this season. And there's always been something missing. But yesterday, they looked really good. Without Erling Haaland, they looked better. Man City scored 4 goals yesterday. Haaland wasn't playing. So clearly, they don't need Haaland to score goals. But what they did do is they scored 4 goals from 4 different goal scorers. Everyone looked good. It's like they had the Avengers out there. Everyone was balling out for Man City. Without Haaland, they are a more balanced team and actually a more dangerous team, in my opinion. I think Haaland works for the Champions League one-off games when you just need a goal scorer, you need a moment of brilliance. But across a 38-game Premier League season, I honestly think Alvarez up front is better than Haaland up front. You can hate me for it. Feel free to disagree. But I honestly believe Alvarez up front for Man City over Erling Haaland is a better option for them in the Premier League. I genuinely do. They're a bigger threat. Liverpool yesterday got played out the park. They had no control in the game whatsoever. Alvarez was dropping into midfield and it had Stones, Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne. They had Grealish dropping in there, Mahrez, Alvarez. The midfield was dominated. Liverpool's midfield as it is has no legs. Fabinho, Henderson, no legs whatsoever. Then with Man City's midfield, it was a complete whitewash domination. The only time Liverpool had any joy was when they bypass the midfield and go long down the channels to Salah. That's the only time Liverpool really had a chance in that game. Man City looked really good yesterday, really did. And I think them missing Haaland will affect them in the Champions League, but I think in the Premier League, they'll actually look kind of better, to be completely honest. There's also Juventus, Arsenal, Ajax, Celtic, Rangers, etc. Ajax is a really good shout as well. That's a really historic team. Juventus as well. Arsenal, as I've touched upon, of course. Celtic, Rangers, big clubs as well. Good list. I love Arsenal, but anything can happen. Yes, I think a lot of people are thinking that. I think the thing is, right, because we're used to Arsenal bottling it in seasons gone by, and we're used to Man City just being inevitable and going on runs, no one wants to put their money where their mouth is and say, Arsenal 100% are going to win the league. As I said earlier on in this stream, for those of you that are new, I've said it, I'm going to say it right now. If Arsenal win at Anfield next week, Arsenal will win the league. Arsenal will. I'm not going to gamble, because I don't gamble, but Arsenal will win the league. I'm not going to put money on it because I don't bet. But I promise you this, feel free to flame me if it doesn't happen. If Arsenal beat Liverpool at Anfield next week, I promise you Arsenal will win the Premier League. I'm not saying anything until now. I've been fairly, not necessarily on the fence, but I've been fairly impartial. I've said, I think Arsenal can, but I still think City got edge to them. But if Arsenal win the league on Sunday, I think we'll win the league. Not because I think City are any different, but because I think that proves to me Arsenal deserve to win that league and we've got minerals about us. Because the title's in Arsenal's hands. If City can win every game from here to the end of the season, but if Arsenal win every game, bar the Man City game, we still win the league. The title is in Arsenal's hands. So if we beat Liverpool at Anfield, we've got the mentality to win this Premier League. That's how I see it. But anything can happen, as CUN said. Could you imagine if Chelsea somehow beats Man City on match day 37 as this team turns up occasionally and hands Arsenal the title? Boy, that would be crazy. We've seen Chelsea do it before, as you said. Who remembers Slippy G for Steven Gerrard for Liverpool? Chelsea, under Mourinho, stunk that season. Absolutely stunk. Yet still found a way to win that game at Anfield and give Man City the title. So anything can happen with Chelsea. And the thing with Chelsea is I would want to play Chelsea right now. Arsenal play Chelsea late. Man City play Chelsea late. You don't want to play Chelsea when it's week match day 36, match day 37, etc. Because I think by then Potter will have enough time to click. Because that Chelsea team, I think it is a matter of time before they do click. So I'd rather play them now than play them in a couple months' time or so when they actually might be really good and start to actually click. And we see Felix firing and we see all these players firing. So I remember Arsenal, we had a really bad spell. Not last season, the season before. Even last season at the start of the season. But a couple of seasons ago, Arsenal were really bad. Then we played Chelsea and beat them 3-1. And then since then on, we went on a bit of a run. You'd want to play Arsenal in that period where we were losing to Southampton, losing to Burnley, losing to all these teams. We never looked like winning a game in our lives. That's Chelsea right now. Chelsea right now don't look like winning. So you want to play Chelsea right now. But who knows? In a month's time, they might get a really good win under their belt. They might beat Liverpool on Tuesday and their season turn around. No one knows. Football is so unpredictable. That's why we all love it. So really, Chelsea, could they beat Man City? I don't think so. I've been really good with my predictions this season, actually. Even Man City, Liverpool, I predicted 4-1 Man City. I really did. I really did. I know I didn't say it on stream, but I promise I've got the receipts. I've got messages to my friends. I said 4-1 Man City to Liverpool. My predictions have been good. I think at home, it's very hard to beat Man City. Very, very hard. Man City go to Brentford on the final day of the season. I'm just so annoyed that game wasn't now. Because Brentford on the final day, they might capitulate. Because I remember the final day last season, Brentford played Leeds, and Leeds actually won that game to stay in the Premier League. Because Brentford on the final day, they're not playing for anything. They're not playing, like, what are they going to play for on the final day? I don't think they're going to be anywhere near Champions League spots. They might be in a shout for Europe, to be fair, but overall, I don't think they're going to be playing for much. So Man City might roll them over. Really, I'd want them to play those teams right now. City still got to go to Brighton, still got to go to Brentford. They're capable of winning those games, but have Man City got a consistency, especially away from home, because their away form has been a bit raggedy, to win multiple games in a row? That's what I've got to find out. And I'm not entirely sure if I've seen enough of that from Man City to suggest they can win the league, to be completely honest. But Arsenal, equally, they have to prove something they haven't proved in recent seasons, which is the mentality to not fold under pressure. Last season, top four was in our hands. It 100% was. And we folded. We well and truly folded, capitulated. We can't do that again. We can't. Because if we do, the fan base will be on us. Arsenal had too good a season to not win the league. I'm not even thinking about it right now. The goodest season Arsenal have, they can go without a trophy this season. We honestly can. It's crazy to think. This has been the best season Arsenal have had. It definitely in my lifetime. Yet we could finish it without winning the league. So it's absolutely crazy to comprehend that. It's going to be a rocky roller coaster end to the season. Honestly, I can see it going either way. I can see Arsenal winning the league definitely right now. I think the odds right now are 65 to 35 in favor of Arsenal to win the league. 35 in favor of Man City. No other team's got hope for me. But any little change and it can swing. That's why I'm not getting too ahead of myself. Because if Arsenal lose to Liverpool and Man City win, bang, it's a 5-point game. And then you've got Man City got a game in hand against West Ham, which they will win, by the way, at home. Bang, it's a 2-point game. Arsenal go to the Etihad, Man City win that, bang, Man City ahead. That's how it goes. Honestly, because Arsenal got a 5-point gap if Man City win their game in hand. And the two games they've got to play in that gap is Liverpool away and Man City away. Both the toughest grounds to go to in the Premier League. And Arsenal still got to go to St. James's Park. Another tough ground to go to. So I know a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, yeah, we're going to win this league. We're on top form. It looks like it's ours. Yeah, I do agree that it's looking like it's really good. But there's still a long way to go, man. There's a lot of games to go. And it starts with Anfield next week because that's a big test. We've done really well to win the games we're all meant to win. There's one thing saying we're meant to beat these Crystal Palaces, these Leeds, etc. But winning that game is a whole nother story. We've done that now. We've got to keep it moving. I have a lot of faith in the boys, and I'm just hoping and praying that we end this season with a title because the fan base deserves it. The team deserves it. Everyone deserves it. I don't want to have Arsenal's reputation on bottling it because we did it last season in the Champions League run, and I hope and pray we don't do it this season. I'm not even going to comprehend Arsenal not winning the Premier League. Do I watch any other sports? See, man, I watch a lot of sports. I watch football as my number one sport. I watch NBA a lot. I watch NBA a lot. I'm really keeping up with that. Their playoffs are about to start. I watch the NFL, although it's off. The season isn't running right now. F1 I do watch, but I haven't kept up to date with it a lot, to be completely honest. I don't really watch tennis, but I do watch Wimbledon when it comes around every season. What else do I watch? And that's about it, to be fair. That's I don't really watch rugby or cricket. I don't really keep up with that, to be completely honest. But yeah, those are my main sports: football, NBA, so basketball, American football, NFL. I watch F1 kind of here and there. Sometimes I've got nothing else to do, and I watch Wimbledon when it's on TV. Tennis during the summer, but that's mainly it. But yeah, football's my favorite sport, as it always will be. Absolutely love it to bits. Excited for National Hockey League. I don't really watch hockey, to be completely honest. Hockey and MLB, I'm not a big fan of, to be completely honest. But I like the other side, the American sport. And American sport is way different to English sport, man. When I went to America to watch an NBA game, it's so commercialized. If the Super League was made and football went like that, I think I'd honestly rip my hair out. Because I just love football sometimes, where it's just 45 minutes, a half, no adverts in the middle, none of these timeouts and all that stuff. Just play it, man. Just play the football. My other team is winning right now. At least I get to know that one of my teams is on the up. That's really nice, man. I mean, in basketball-wise, I support the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're making the playoffs, so I'm gassed for that. Then in the NFL, I support Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not doing really well right now, but it's one of those things, man. Always hopeful. As long as Arsenal doing well, that's my hope and pray. That's what I'm hoping that's going to happen. And if we win the league, you catch me at that parade, and you'll catch me on that final day at Wolves. I am watching Arsenal versus Wolves. I've got my ticket already. I'm going to that game. I'm going to vlog it as well. And I hope and pray Arsenal win the league, man. I'll produce one of the best vlogs of all time. That if Arsenal win the league in that stadium against Wolves, and I make a vlog on that, I better hit at least 50,000, 100,000 views, because that'll be historic. Absolutely historic if that ends up happening, man. I can't wait for it. But one game at a time. And one thing I will say is, as an Arsenal fan, there'll be other Arsenal fans I hope that are watching and tuning into the stream as well. Whether we win the league or not, you have to say that for once you actually enjoyed watching Arsenal. Because I genuinely have. I genuinely have enjoyed watching Arsenal this season. They've been really fun to watch. And at the end of the day, football is entertainment, right? Trophies is another thing. But at the end of the day, football is entertainment. You want to watch a team that you enjoy watching. It's gone a few seasons ago. I'd be like, why was I booking out my weekend to watch Socrates and Mustafi kick footballs? Why was I watching Bellerin kick ball, Pepe kick football? It was crazy, man. Now, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not thinking, oh my God, Arsenal play 4:30 next weekend. I can't wait. Going to be on that TV at 3:30, watching the build-up on Sky Sports, etc., watching the game beforehand. Can't wait for it. That's how Arsenal's made me feel. And other clubs will feel that way as well. So that's my main thing. That's one thing I'll be really grateful for the team and for Arteta. They've really rejuvenated my love for Arsenal again. I've always loved the club. I've always watched every single Arsenal game that has ever happened. Provided, I mean, I'd book out my weekends to watch Arsenal games. But this season, I genuinely enjoy watching Arsenal much more. I watch football with a smile on my face. And I haven't said that a lot in recent seasons. In America, they do so much commercials. Exactly. Exactement. So yeah, overall, this season, I'm going to end the stream by giving my final predictions for how I think the table's going to go. I think top of the table, Arsenal. Hoping Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford, Aston Villa, I guess. And I'm going to go for the relegated teams. I think it's going to be Leeds. I think Southampton bottom. I think Leeds 19th and Bournemouth 18th. That is my picks for who's going to win the league, get Europe, and get relegated. Do you agree? Let me know. There's so much random competition of things like who could shoot more 3 points. Yeah, that's like the All-Star weekend. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'd be so for an All-Star weekend in the Premier League. I'd be so for that. I know people saying, oh, that's so American. Who wouldn't want that? A North versus South, like one weekend. Say it's an international break. I'll bun the international break. Just say a weekend out. We do a North versus South. We have a penalty challenge. We have a free kick challenge. We have obviously we have like an all-star team, like the best players. I'd be for that, man. I don't care if it's an American thing. I want to see that. If we've already got the Hall of Fame in the Premier League, which was an American thing in the first place, having the NBA, NFL Hall of Fame, they can do an all-star weekend. I want to see that, man. I genuinely would love to see an all-star weekend. Penalty challenge, penalty king, free kick challenge, skills challenge, like who could do the best skill move. Who would not want to see that? Be completely honest, man. You're lying if you don't want to see that. That's entertaining for me. Another thing is I want to end on, stop not showing 3 p.m. games, man. I just want someone to buy the Premier League and show every match. I want to see it. I don't want to see me streaming a 3 p.m. game. And it makes no sense because if your team's playing, you will find a stream. Be honest. If my team Arsenal playing, I don't care if it's on TV or not, I'm finding a way to watch that football match. So they might as well show the 3 p.m. games because all they're doing is not letting me pay for them. Because I'm happy to pay to watch my team play. I genuinely am. I've got Sky Sports subscription. I've got BT Sports subscription. I'm happy to pay to watch Arsenal play. But why are you not showing the games? Because if you're not showing it, I will find a way to watch that football match. Believe me, I'll go through every single stream on the internet to find that football match. You give me an option to pay, I'm happy to pay. You don't give me an option to watch that football match, I will find a way. So they may as well show the 3 p.m. games because football fans are streaming them anyway. You know what I mean? So you might as well give them an option to pay for it because a lot of fans would, myself included. I would pay for those games if they're available, the 3 p.m. matches. They're not available. I have to find a dodgy stream for them. It's just the way it is. End the 3 p.m. lockout. I can watch Premier League games on any country on planet Earth other than England. It's crazy. I've heard they're going to get rid of it soon. What are you saying? Getting rid? No, I'm talking about random games. They'll get fans from the stands to come. Oh yeah. Talking about like during that the timeouts and stuff, and during the halftime, they have all those events. Yeah, it's really fun to be fair. I don't see it happening in football, to be completely honest. Arsenal's got like a penalty shootout for the kids at halftime. But that's about it. Hope they get rid of it. Really, I don't think they will, because I just think it's part of the culture in America. So I don't see them doing that, to be completely honest. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream now because it's getting late. Been streaming for a while. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. I'll be streaming tomorrow after Tottenham play Everton in a massive game of implications for Champions League football and of course relegation. I can't wait for it. Appreciate everyone tuning in and typing in the live chat. I love hearing all your thoughts on it. I've been White Football. I appreciate everyone joining in. I hope to see you all in my next stream. Take care, everyone.